Hey everybody, welcome back this week. This is more of an impromptu video. I wasn't planning on doing this, but I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to show you guys, run you guys through the installation of Parrot OS, one of the other major distributions of the pen testing and cybersecurity operating systems. So first, let's flip over to my desktop here. As you can see, I've already navigated over to the Parrot OS page, parrotlinux.org. So there's a little down button, navigate to the download. Parrot comes with a couple different options here, which is kind of nice about it. First, you have your security OS. This is going to be what's going to compete with Kali Linux. It's going to include all of the hackers' tools, things like Burp Suite, stuff like that. You got your home workstation, which is going to be more or less a stripped down version of Parrot security. So you're going to take a lot of the pen testing, coding, a lot of that software out of there that you might not need on your daily use. Then you've got your other builds, which are going to kind of be more focused on things like Internet of IoT devices or Raspberry Pis and those single motherboard computers. So to kind of get a better view, they give you a lot of the features here. I mean, as you can see, as you're looking for like architecture, x86, 64-bit, and then you go to the IoT, which is going to be your other builds. So again, it's kind of focused on those more of like those IoT projects. The Debian version is going to be Debian 10 Buster, so that's kind of gives you they're all Debian based OSs, just like Kali Linux. You're going to have your desktop environment KDE, Plasma KDE, or Mate, or Plasma, however it is, as well as they all include Cyber. We'll go over some of these more features when we get this installed and up and running. Sandbox environments, they're all going to come with LibreOffice. They're all going to be at least the security and homework straight out of the box with Firefox 65. I always recommend Firefox over Google Chrome, especially for security wise and privacy, as well as it automatically comes right out of there with 3 good privacy tools that I always recommend. uBlock Origins, NoScript, and Privacy Badger. Install those on whether you're using Chrome or you're using Firefox, install them. Really helps with privacy and security. Ad blockers are one of those underrated things for security, not just privacy or speeding up the internet or your browser. All come with Anonsurf, and like you said, you can see it's like security and pen testing tools, reverse engineering tools, digital forensic tools. It doesn't come with a lot of those systems pre-installed on the home version. Granted, if you're using this as a daily driver OS, you really don't need a lot of that stuff. Why do you need Burp Suite to surf the web? You don't. So if you're looking at it from a pen testing perspective, you're going to want to download the security version. Otherwise, if you're looking at it for more of a daily driver, you can't go wrong with either. Home workstation is going to have a lot less clutter as opposed to security. But again, if you were to pick the security one up and use that as your daily driving OS just because you want to do both pen testing and other stuff, go for it. Doesn't hurt. So I've actually already downloaded security, but we'll go in there because I want to show you something else that Parrot's really nice about. So I installed the KDE edition, or downloaded it, I should say, because they have two different ISO files, or digital or disk images. It's either and it all comes down to just the interface, whether you interface to a Mate interface or KDE Plasma. And I can go ahead and I can actually show you both of them. I have the Mate installed. I actually installed this virtual appliance, so they're nice enough to give us the whole virtual drive that you can download and load right into VirtualBox. Just trying to think about that for a second because I have a couple of different virtualization software on my system. So you can download and import it right into VirtualBox with no hassle. You don't need to go through all the steps that I'm going to show you here today. Otherwise, these two are just a different flavor of the same system. There's no real reason to worry about whether you're going to get Parrot Security or KDE. It's all what you kind of want. It's a different feel, but everything's the same. I don't own KDE. Now, one thing Parrot does, like I had said, that's really nice, is it gives you what's called the signed hashes. So any system, any program, any picture, Word document, whatever it might be, has a hashed value. What we talk about nowadays is MD5, SHA-1, SHA-2, SHA-256, SHA-512, I mean the big ones that you're going to kind of talk about. What a signed hash is every program, everything has that hash value. It's a collection, a unique fingerprint of that file. So when you talk about it in terms of a system, of something like this where you're downloading an application, you can kind of take a look and you can see. So if the manufacturer is nice enough to put out the SHA-512 or the hash value like this, you can run what you've downloaded against the hashes that the coders, developers give you to confirm that you've downloaded the right one and the one in the file that you have isn't tampered with. You can do the same thing with, like I said, Word documents, pictures, whatever the case might be. It's a great way for to kind of look at steganography and some of that stuff, and we'll get more into detail later on that one in other videos that I go ahead and I put out. But there's utility checkers and everything like that. I just have this basic hash, this checksum utility checker here that I used. I've already checked it, so there's really no reason for me to kind of go through the whole process. What you would do is you'd browse your file, and then it's going to generate your MD5, your SHA-1, your SHA-256, your 512, whatever. Some of them will generate different hashes, but it'll generate the hash value for the program or whatever the file you have is. So let's kind of just, you know what, we'll just go through and let's run. I got Discord sitting out there, so yeah. So it'll generate these. So now if Discord was release their hash value for their update.exe, I could just throw it in here and verify it, and we'll just mash the keyboard a bit here to confirm, see, verify, and this is hashes do not match. Obviously, we know they're going to match. Not going to match. It doesn't really matter. Now, you'll notice as we'll go back here to my thing. You'll notice obviously there's a significant difference between the length and hash between MD5 and SHA-512. Where you run into that is, as you get to some of these longer ones, SHA-512, SHA-256, it is more of that unique fingerprint. The issues you run into MD5 hashes and SHA-1s is what's called collisions. A collision is when you're talking about a hash value, is that two different files are able to generate the same hash value. So you'd have Parrot OS that we downloaded is going to have the same MD5 hash as some piece of malware sitting out there. They're not very common, but you do have that likelihood of that collision where they do share that hash value, and that just makes a lot of stuff easier. So a lot of systems will use hash values and encrypted values as opposed to your basic stuff. And we'll get more into that as we get more into cryptography and stuff like that. That's just something that I kind of wanted to point out and give a quick little overview on. So I've already ran it. I've already confirmed everything's good. So let's go back to my desktop here. We're going to open up. I'm going to start with, I'm going to use VM Workstation 15. I already have one on here, so we can actually go ahead and I'll just let's just remove this from my library. Probably should delete it from my disk, but oh well. So we're going to do create a new virtual machine. Select your image. Let's go browse. Parrot. This is going to be my ISO file, my disk image file. Hit next. We're going to set it. It's already set because I've already gone through all this stuff. So it's going to be Linux Debian 10X because we already know it's the Debian underpinnings. So hit next. This is going to call. You word this whatever you really want. I'm going to call it Parrot Sec because that's kind of what helps me identify it. Hit next. Now this is how much disk space you want. I assign everything 80. I feel like a lot of these ones give me 80, so it has that ability to save some files and stuff like that. So I'm not like bumping right up against my maximum for disk space. So we're gonna hit next. Here is where we're going to customize our hardware. I think if you guys have watched my previous video about setting up the pen testing labs, you know that this is pretty important here. So we want memory. How much RAM do we need to give it? It's a very lightweight system, so we're going to kind of leave it at 2 and see where it goes from there. It doesn't need much more than that, being that it's a real lightweight system. So next, core processors. Depending on the processors you have, I mean, if you're running with a 32 core system, might as well just throw that up to whatever you feel. If it's max of 16, throw it to 16. But again, that's not really needed. Two core here. I have a quad core processor, so 2 cores is gonna be just fine for me. Network adapter we want to change as well. That's pretty important. We want to make sure we have it bridged. Again, this is going to assign the device or this virtual machine a different IP address from what my host machine is. So we want to make sure we have that as bridged. USB controller, you can leave this at 2, it doesn't really matter. I mean, if you have USB 3.0 that you really feel the need to access, like it's going to make that big of a difference, you can bump it to 3, but it really doesn't matter. Display adapters is the next one. If you have dedicated graphics, you want to assign it accelerated 3D graphics. Now it's also going to have you choose the graphics memory, the amount of memory that the guest memory that can be used for graphics memory. So the amount of memory of the available allotment that it can be used. So we're going to leave it at 768. I don't feel that there's too much to change to it. We're not going to have graphics heavy processors. I mean, you could have password cracking that takes a little bit more, and upping that might help that a little bit, but at that point, if you really need that much more to crack passwords, there's better options than a virtual machine. So once we're done, we hit finish, and it's going to pop us here in our list our new virtual box. So we're going to hit play and let that boot up, and that should boot us up into that'll boot us up into here. So now we have the ability to select, let me see, once we select it, to kind of go through and choose what we want. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to do install. So we want this installed, we don't want this as a live system. Install with JT GUI. So once you select that, it's going to then start to run the whole install process. So let's take a look. It's going to go through and kind of do that scrolling stuff. So the first thing it's going to do is it's going to ask you your language. It's got a whole lot of different languages, and so you can kind of select what you need. So we're going to, I'm going to choose English, obviously. I'm in the U.S., shocking, American English. So just kind of go through and just choose all this basic identifying, not necessarily identifying information, but unique information to kind of determine the flavor or the language that you're going to see as far as the keyboard layout and all that other stuff. So that it's going to go ahead, once you're done with that, it's going to load all of the components, everything it needs off of that ISO file. So we'll see, it should only take a minute or so here, and there it goes. Now it's detecting network hardware. It's just going to kind of run through its basic steps. Now first thing it's going to have you set up is it's going to have you set up the root password. The root password is what's going to be used for security verification prior to modifying anything on the supposed hard disk. So this is the important one. This needs to be separate from your user profile, because you're going to put this in to verify that you are authenticating and allowing these changes to be made to your system. So very important. So my next video here, I'm actually going to release it just right after this one, will be password security and stuff like that. So I'll kind of walk over what makes a real good password there. So you want to make sure you follow all the general complexity, length, uppercase, lowercase, number, special character, stuff like that. So let's type this in real quick. There we go, and so let's make sure they're the same. Get rid of that, continue, and they did not. So I'm going to pause it here, type in my password so you don't have to sit there and watch me do that. So give me 2 seconds. Alright, now it's going to actually have us put the full name of the user, which is going to tie to your emails and everything like that here. So I'm going to pause it real quick while I enter that, just so you guys can't see it. Alright, next is we're looking at selecting the username for the account. So this is just going to be username for the account. That's going to be our lowercase first name, which is Eric. We'll hit continue. No need to change that. Now we're going to set a password for this. Yep, and they didn't match. I screwed them up. Oh, come on. Nope, you guys didn't see my password. Okay, this is getting frustrating. Alright, new tactic. Pause the video here real quick and enter it clear text. There we go, finally allowed me to go through. So next you're going to choose your time zone. We'll go central for this setup. Maybe be able to change it later in there, so like I said, I just kind of chose a random one. Being in the US, there's only 4 options I believe. So now in the next, we're going to choose the partition disks, whether you want to do guide to use the entire disk, or set up and encrypt the LMV or anything like that. So we're just going to use guided to use the entire disk. We're really not in the mood to monkey with it other ways. All files on one partition. So next is going to be finish partition and write disk to changes. Now it's going to kind of throw a little bit of a warning here. You have not selected any partitions for use as swap space, and enabling swap space is recommended so the system can make better use of the available physical memory and so that it behaves better when the physical memory is scarce. Not too worried about it. I mean, if I run into major issues, there's other ways things can do, so I'm just hitting no. I do not. I just want to continue. Next week, continue. If you continue, the changes below will be written in the disk. Otherwise, you'll not be. Otherwise, you'll be able to make. So we're just going to go yes. We want to make the changes. Hit next. So now it's going to go ahead. It's going to install the system. I'm going to go ahead and pause the video while this goes because this does take a long time. And I will be back when this is done. See you guys in a little bit. Alright, everybody here, guys, gals. The system's already is finished up installing the main OS, but now it's prompting to install the grub bootloader. This is going to be effectively your BIOS. The grub is going to be kind of what's going to interact between the OS and the basically VM software, and it's going to be the first thing that boots up and kind of gets the rest of the system rolling. So it has a warning here. Seems the newest installation is the only operating system on the computer, so it should be safe to install the grub bootloader to the master boot record. Warning: if the installer failed to detect another operating system present on your computer. Pretty much it's saying if there's another OS on your computer and it hasn't detected it, it can lead to errors. Well, we're creating a virtual machine on a virtual partition, or not a partition on the hard drive, so it really doesn't matter because we have technically no other OS on this partition. So we can just go ahead and hit continue, and then you can either enter device manually or just go with the dev SDA. It's pretty much just stick with the common one is really all you need to do. So now it's going to come back and finish up installing this bootloader for us. I'll let it run here. I'm not going to pause the video because it shouldn't. Oh, there it goes. It's already done. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and pause it here because this seems to be taking a little bit longer. I don't want you guys to sit there and watch the wheel spin. Alright everyone, the installation is finished up. Installation is complete, so it is time to boot your new system. Make sure to remove the installation media. Obviously we don't have any installation media per se, so we're going to go ahead, we're going to hit continue, and it's going to continue to finish this, and it's actually going to reboot the system here. So I will, again, I'm just going to kind of pause the video so you don't sit there and watch the wheel spin because that gets boring quick. As well as it's just going to make this video drag on a lot longer than it has to. So let's pause it again, and I'll see you when everything's booted up. Alright here guys, and gals. I don't know why I keep saying guys. It's booting up now. There was a little bit of a prompt that we kind of missed where it kind of had you just choose the basic bootloader. I wasn't quite quick enough to click on it and to resume recording, but that's it. It'll just kind of prompt you to give you a few options. It's just Parrot / grub. There's really nothing. Just go with the top option that's already pre-selected, and if you don't do it within a few seconds, it actually does it for you. So now that we got Parrots up and running here, so let's wait for a second, and then we'll actually get into it and take a look and see what Parrot looks like. I actually haven't seen this one before. I've used the mate one, but I haven't seen the KDE plasma. So it'll do this black screen for a little bit. You saw the Parrot OS symbol come up, and I don't know if you noticed, but there's a glowing ring that kind of circles around the logo for a second as things are loading, just that way to kind of give you that idea. Perfect. So we're booted up, and you guys can see my name. Shoot. Oh, let's deal with it later. So this will be logging into your one. So. I'll get that edited out in post. So, and plasma made by KDE. So let's see here. We're in our OS. Kind of waiting. Yeah, it's booting up. Perfect. So this will be your first setup. Let's go full screen here. So enter full screen mode. Make sure everything shows up good. Perfect. So we're just gonna go United States English. There's really you can kind of check that here, and you'll notice some wired stuff will come up here. Oops. It'll automatically prompt you to. It'll update the system right off the bat. So let's just, as this is going, let's just kind of. Here we go. Now you see this is when I had said you need to set up the root password. This is going to be that root password that you set up first. So it's for me. Here we go. And yep, there we go. Remember password. Okay. You can select whether you do or don't want to remember it. Doesn't really matter. So we'll go ahead and, as I said, we're still kind of trying to test the keyboard here just to make sure it works. We want to make sure everything is right. Test. I had an issue with BWAP for M, so 0 packages can be upgraded. So there we go. Let's hit yes. So we really don't care. Okay, hit OK. So once you have everything set up there, we're going to pop that open. So now I'm noticing, and I'll pull up the other one to kind of show you the difference. This one doesn't look quite as, I guess, pretty as the other one, if that makes any sense. But that's not a big deal. I mean, it literally just looks. So once this is done installing, perfect. And to kind of give a walkover of Linux, and this is going to go through as some of the, just to kind of learn more. So first off, let's see here. Yeah, network's disconnected. Well, we'll figure that out in a minute. So here you're going to have your basic stuff. You're going to have your Firefox, your console, and your KWrite, your text editor. So let's pop open Firefox. It tells me I have no internet connection, but I'm bridging, so I shouldn't have an issue. And if I do, we'll figure it out then. So Firefox has your information. So that automatically comes with a Parrot one. So we're going to go ahead, check to use this one, so you don't have to go in there and do it. Now, Parrot's, it's already going to have all of your settings saved, so it's going to have things like that uBlock origins, the other one, and yeah, as you can see, no server found. I'll just have to go through and kind of troubleshoot that as to why. Yep, wired connection 1. Let's connect it. Setting up wired connection. So it'll have everything as you can see up here. Privacy Badger, uBlock origin, no script. That's going to prevent anything from running on any sort of issues. So still setting up network address. Let that kind of spin. We don't need to really do that as I'm going through. So this is going to have This has more of that blended flavor. You've got your drop down, so that's going to minimize, make it biggie size, make it smaller, boom, boom, X is to close it out. Now, one of the things that Parrot has that you don't see in Kali is this has a sandboxed environment. So we can go through 4 desktops that are all sandboxed. So if I'm running, say I run Firefox in this one, I'll have to troubleshoot that later as to why it's not working. It very well could just be the whole setup that we have. So we're running Firefox. Let's run Firefox here. I'm not going to do too much at once. We're going to find that site, whatever. So let's just, for funsies, just confirm I have no internet access. Go to Google and it'll say server not found. Yep, server not found. I have no internet access. I'll have to troubleshoot that in a few minutes. So that'll be it. Now if we go over here, we can boot up any one of our other tools. So this is going to be the app launcher. Let's go to our applications, and it's going to have things like AnandSurf. So let's say we want to start AnandSurf. Let's hit AnandSurf start. Now this does carry between the two of them. And it appears that you can boot those other ones up. So we're unable to locate this, whatever. It's having issues in the other one. Yes, you can kill. It'll start the Tor network. And AnandSurf is what's going to actually route you through all of your traffic on the system of the Tor network. And we're going to kind of wait for things to boot up over here. So, and as you can see, kind of it took a second, but this is kind of realized. I mean, this is a sandbox environment, so it doesn't have any of the Firefox or anything else down here. So if we flip back over to this one, now we should see the, yeah, so it has everything. I guess I'm wrong. It has everything loaded up, as you can see, so you can flip between the environments so they don't actually talk with it. So now we're under the AnandSurf tunnel, and let's make sure everything's golden here. I'm going to kind of give this a second. Usually this will actually kill itself. There it goes. We know we're good. So let's go ahead, let's go to our applications, and like I said, this is just kind of a quick one. So check the current IP of the address. Yep. It's going to come up with that error. I've seen that every time. I'm having issues. I've had issues since I've run the Parrot with running it through AnandSurf. I'm not that big of a deal. Yeah, I see my IP is blank, so there's a few packages that I think I'm missing that you just got to go through the command prompt to download. I don't really feel like going through that whole process. So, applications that we have, I mean, you're going to have your cryptography, so you're going to have like encrypt the folder, password manager, KeePassXC. It does come with games, and it's got like one game. It's got chess. So if you're bored, you can play chess on here. Unlike Kali. Internet, you're already going to come with BitTorrent clients, Onion Share client, anonymous instant messaging, and everything that kind of routes through the Tor browser. So we go back to all applications. Then we're going to have our sandbox and our pen testing tools. So if we run this here, let's go to our pen testing just to kind of see what we have. I mean, you get your most user information, your vulnerability analysis tool. I mean, it comes with like VoIP tools, stress testing. Let's go with OpenVAS scanners. So that's just going to be your OpenVAS scanner, your vulnerability analysis, Cisco tools, Perl script with scans. So you got all that stuff. Pen testing. Got too far out of it. So we're going to go here. I mean, you got your pen testing, sandbox, you got your science and your math, development tools. You've got Cutter, Div. You've got your compilers, and you're going to have your decompilers. So let's go back to all applications. Media. You got your Office. You got LibreOffice. So you've got word processor, spreadsheets, you got project managers, presentations, personal finance, you got all that LibreOffice stuff. So you do have that. So if you do end up using this more as a daily driver, you have that. So like I said, I mean, most used tools. It's going to come with the most common ones. You got your Java GUI Audit Wireless tool for AirGeddon, you've got AirCrack, Johnny, GoBuster, Multigo, OPH Crack, Zap, Weavly. There should be Burp on here. Some Wireshark, Nmap, Burp Suite right there. You got everything you normally have on Linux, and then some, or Kali, and then some. And it's all sitting in here just like the other one. Now this is you don't want to reconnect. It's trying to connect again. But so that's what Parrot. Now this is what this looks like. So let's go ahead. We're actually going to close out of this. We're going to power this one off. I'm going to open up. Once we power this off, I'm actually going to kind of open up, go back over here to my other Parrot Sec one. So, assuming this doesn't take me to my snapshot, take 20 minutes to reload the snapshot again. I'm gonna kind of show you the difference between that and your KDE. So I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna pause my video again while I get this started up, just in case it takes a little longer than expected. So give me 1 minute. All right, guys, we're back. We got my other one booted up here. So this will kind of show you. This is the difference. This is what it actually looks like for. As you can see, I was trying to connect to Tor, which this is just someone trying to get up and running. So this is going to be your mate version. So you've got everything. You've got your system tools, your sound block, programming, preferences, pen testing, office, internet. Same whole setup. Educational. Let's click on educational, and this is taking forever for me. Not sure why. Alright, how about pen testing? Let's make sure that this works. Yeah. See, and then this one comes up, you've got your air crack. So, one of the first things that I'm noticing right off the bat, between the two of them, your KDE Plasma is much better organized. It seems to be more organized, and have everything kind of broken down within that. Now, if we were to go to our applications, it should probably would be the same way. Let's check. Yep. See, this is kind of how you access it is more of that Windows style with the Plasma, as opposed to here, which is more of what you normally get, like digital forensics. You're going to have your PDF tools, your forensic imaging files, carving tools, depending on what you're trying to do, bulk extractor, auto spy, reverse engineering. You've got your decomposers, decompilers, all of that stuff. So it's got everything that everything you're needing, a lot more. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what it is. I heard it said a while back, and I'm convinced. I love it. Pen testing and hacking, ethical hacking. It's not about the tools you use; it's about the skill of the hacker. So this has every tool you could ever want to use, and you'll figure out what works best for you as you go through and play with it. So I have actually fallen in love with this a lot quicker and a lot better than I have Kali. It just feels like a more complete OS versus Kali, and I know it's meant to be that. It's meant to combine security with everything, so it does have that option of, okay, I'm going to do this as a daily driver, not just when I need a pen test. So that is Parrot Linux. If you guys have something else a topic you guys want me to cover next, drop a comment, please. If you like this video and you watched it and you thought it was helpful, please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. I want to keep doing this, and I want to keep teaching the hacker mindset, the hacker idea. Don't just learn, and spread the knowledge. So please like, subscribe, and drop that comment. Thank you.